Hey guys, Sarah Berry, CPA in Texarkana, Texas. I just did a quick video explaining what it means to tax unrealized gains because that is a tax policy that's being discussed right now in the news because that's a proposed change in tax law coming from one of the presidential candidates. So I'm going to do a quick video talking about what it means to get a step up in basis. That is another current tax law that we have, getting a step up in basis, that is threatened to be eliminated by a potential candidate for presidency. I don't think a lot of people really understand what the step up in basis is and what it means to many of our clients. It can be used in different scenarios, but we use it all the time for just our average moderate income clients. So I'm going to flip over and show you my screen and walk you through a strategy that's very commonplace. We see this all the time. Okay, so here's my fancy Excel worksheet that we're going to talk through to explain what a step up in basis is. So in general terms, a step up in basis means that any asset, anything that someone owns, you get a step up in the basis of that asset to the fair market value at the date of death. That's a lot of big words and can be confusing, I guess. So let's talk through a couple scenarios to explain the benefits of this step up in basis tax law that we have right now and the increase in tax we would see if this goes away, okay? So in this situation that we're talking through, Grandpa built his house in 1930 for $10,000. $10,000 would build a decent house in 1930. Grandpa died last year in 2023. The house is worth $100,000 whenever Grandpa dies. That's a very affordable house, not a house of the uber wealthy, right? The house is inherited by the grandchild. Current tax laws, that is not a taxable event. The grandchild can take possession of that house and not pay any tax. In the proposed tax laws, the proposed tax plan that I'm seeing, the original purchase price of $10,000 compared to the fair market value at the date of death would result in a gain of $90,000 at the long-term capital gains rates of 15%. And by the way, those long-term capital gains rates are probably going to change too, increase. They're not going to go down. They would increase. But assuming they're as low as 15%, you would have tax of $13,500. So grandchild would owe $13,500 for taking possession of that house. How's that tax going to be paid? They would probably have to sell the house to take possession, to be able to pay the tax on it, okay? Unless they're able to, like, they're selling stock or something. So they're going to have cash to pay this tax. And if they just keep the house, they're not going to have any cash, right? So additional facts. Let's assume when the grandchild inherits the house, they decide, okay, I'm going to go ahead and sell it for what it's worth. Right now, the way the tax law is, they can sell that house for $100,000, whatever the fair market value is at the date of death. If they turn around and sell it pretty quick, it didn't increase in value from the date of death into the date it's sold. So because they got that step up in basis, it's not a taxable event. There's no taxes due. So grandchild wouldn't owe any tax on the fact that they inherited the house and sold it quickly. No increase in value from the time they inherited to the time they sold it. No taxes due. But, going back to the proposed law, they would owe $13,500. So it is basically an inheritance tax. It may not be called that, but that is what it is. And it's, in layman's terms, in the real world average Joe, this is very, very substantial, and I don't think this is something that a lot of taxpayers really understand, because step up in basis is not a word that people use a lot. It's like a tax technical word, but it would have a big effect on things like you inheriting hard assets when your parents or grandparents or great-grandparents pass away. You will be taxed on that at the time of death, whereas right now you are not taxed on the value of that whenever it passes hands. So very substantial tax law change proposed. I just want you guys to be educated whenever you see these things come up in the news so that you know exactly what they're talking about in real world terms, real life scenarios.